Hello, I'm John Schuyler, Vice President with the Ollie Council, and today I'm joined by Barb Barassa and Lorraine Vale. This is the Volunteer Spotlight, and I'm going to start with Lorraine and ask her what were her high points of volunteering for Ollie.
Well, John, this is a great question, and thanks for doing this. I've looked back at these 12 years and thought, well, how will I answer this question? And I came upon, I think, the thing that was the most immediately satisfying, and that was when COVID-19 came upon us just a couple of weeks before the term was going to begin. We had all of these classes scheduled at the Campbell Center, and all of a sudden we had none scheduled there. So at the time, the staff started working on putting together the number of courses that could be, really saved from that. And then some volunteers, including myself, started working on how to train all of those instructors and members on how to use Zoom. So that was quite an undertaking because we would have kind of half day, training sessions for groups of instructors. And then once we got the instructors in training, then we converted over to doing member training. And they also would be 2 hour sessions or an hour and a half. So that was really a high point because there was an immediate need to do something. And it was amazing how it just came together. And people who had never done it before, I had never done Zoom, were just willing to do it because it felt so important to do it. And it turned out to be a lasting experience because we still have, I think, about a third of our courses are still online. I'd say that maybe the most recent exciting volunteer experience has been the one on working with Barb and the Ollie staff on the new website. And, this is a project that has for years been on the list. And we all know those kinds of lists, the things that just don't get done because they're hard to do or they cost a lot of money or whatever. But this was more of one of just really kind of the will to actually sit down and say, what are we going to do with this? And a very small group of people, really, we were asked to do it by the university because of changes that they were making. But we started in May and we were done in September. And it was very rewarding to see it finally get finished. So those are my two high points.
All right, well, thank you, Lorraine. As an instructor, I really appreciated the transition to Zoom to keep teaching my classes and not even have a break. So,
Thank you.
Barb, I'll ask you the same question. What was the highlight or high point of your volunteering for Ollie?
Well, for me also I was personally invested in the Ollie website before I was ever an Ollie member. So the old website was the website that I developed with as an independent contractor working for the university when they switched to that that layout for the whole SOU website. I did some of the departmental transitions into that layout. So Ollie was one of those. So, and then I maintained it for the university, that particular site. And then when I became involved more with Ollie as time went on, I started saying like, well, this website could be better. Like we should be. So I started kind of pushing to get the website remade many, many years ago. And it just never happened because, like Lorraine said, it's either money or it's nobody has the time or they think it's going to be harder than it really is or to do and all these reasons. So when Lorraine contacted me last spring and said, well, we're finally going to do it and we want you to like be part of like helping with this. So I was like, yeah, finally it's going to happen. So, and I think it came out really well. And I think one reason it came out really well, aside from when Lorraine contacted me, I said, I will do this because if you are managing this team of people, then because there were other people involved at the start, then I know it's going to actually get done. And because when Lorraine runs something for Ollie, I've seen it over and over. It's like, it's very on time. It's like everything happens. There's no So I'm happy to do anything when Lorraine is running it. So, but I think it worked out well because Lorraine and I both have a long history with Ollie. And so we knew not only from comments on surveys from members and all that kind of stuff, we knew from our own experience ourselves and with other members what they wanted on the website and where the issues were of what wasn't happening on the website. Aside from the look of it, it needs to work well for the users, and it wasn't always. So we had a good idea of that without even looking at the data that we did have from surveys and things. So I think that turned out really well. I've done other things with Ollie, over the last 15 years or whatever that I've been involved with it. So I've helped at the open house. Is that the next question? Oh, okay. I don't know. So I always help at the open house since it was started up, and setting it up and taking it down. And then I have maintained the website until Rob came along and he took over. So I was doing that. I was the SIG coordinator almost since the SIG program started, activity program started. And that has changed now because of the structure of the teams. But so I've done a lot of things for Ollie besides website work, but that was the thing that I was already involved with when I became a member. So.
Thanks, Barb. Yeah, I love the new website. It's such a great tool. Again, as a member, as an instructor, you can get some really good information off of it. So you guys really did a great job. So the second question is, what keeps you here as a volunteer for Ollie? And I'll start with you, Barb.
Well, when I first, like I said, I was doing the website already as a volunteer after I stopped working for SOU as an independent contractor. I offered to still maintain the Ollie website because I just felt it was a good program. I didn't have time to take any classes, but I thought, well, I can still help to do this. I know how to do it. Nobody has to train me. So I just think it's a really good program. And so I want to help where I can. And so I have certain skills, just like everybody does. And I would like to use those skills for lots of different nonprofits and things, but also for the Ollie program to just help it keep going so that it can reach more people, whether I take classes or not, which I do. I take some, but that isn't really why it's not really why I'm involved in Ollie. I just think it's a good program and I like to support it. So I do what I can. I'm also, I was a piano technician for 40 years. So I tune the piano in Classroom E whenever it needs to be tuned, which will be coming up this term. So that's another volunteer activity, like a couple hours a year, right? So there's the small things you can do, and then there's the bigger things you can do, like the website project or helping with the open house or something like that. I'm just happy to support a good organization that reaches a lot of people. We are a mecca here in the Valley for retirees. So we have one of the best Ollies in the country. It's nice to be affiliated with something like that.
Thanks, Barb. I didn't know you were a piano tuner. That's great. I'm always impressed by the skills that people bring to Ollie. So Lorraine, what keeps you volunteering?
Well, I think is that there's so many different kind of things that you can do, and so many different ways that it's rewarding. Like I started out, my first volunteer job was working in the garden. So we had just moved here. It was in 2012, and my husband and I were renovating this house. And I thought, I need to have a break from renovating the house, and signed up to take a course at Ollie, joined Ollie, signed up to take a course. And the course was landscaping. And part of it was landscaping your own garden or to help with landscaping the garden at the Campbell Center, which at that time didn't look anything like the garden that's there now. So I thought, oh, this will be good. I'll be working outdoors. I won't be really meeting anybody because you just have a set schedule. You don't have a set schedule. You come in and make when you want to work, you come in and do your weeding or do your planting. But Ollie members, when they were on their way into the class, would stop and talk about what the changes were. So I got to meet, people just in this kind of volunteer job that I didn't expect that it would be involved with anybody else. But then, I continued on doing things. I put my name in for council and was elected to council. So I got to have that experience working with a lot of different people, different ideas coming together for things that were happening in the renovation. And then teaching a class every term. All of them, you get different rewards out of it personally, and you meet more people. I think that's what's kept me engaged.
Thanks, Lorraine. What does volunteering at Ollie offer to our members?
Well, kind of expanding on what I said about doing the short volunteering and the long bigger program volunteering. I think that the volunteering part is important to some of us because we get to interact with a whole lot of people. Like Lorraine was just saying with her gardening thing, anything that I've done volunteer-wise, I get to interact with the staff. I get to interact with other Ollie members, sometimes with the council. And with the SIG program, I interacted with people that had ideas of groups they wanted to form outside of classes. So, and that was more on a one-on-one or smaller group kind of, interaction rather than being in a class where you can see 40 other people there, but you're not really, other than asking questions, maybe in a discussion, you're not really interacting with those people very much. But when you volunteer, you're really interacting with, people on a regular basis. Also that, so in that you can fit that volunteer time to your schedule. I like to do things that are not long-term. Like I've never been on the council. Lorraine's been on the council. Lorraine's done lots of long-term, many years of commitment, right? I like to do things where I see there's going to be a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then I can say yes or no to that, right? So you can fit it to your own lifestyle or whatever you want to call it. And then you can teach classes. So I've taught 2 really short classes, but Lorraine has taught like constantly. She's always teaching a class, and you've taught a class. So, there's lots of different things that you can do within Ollie. Taking classes is obviously the biggest one, and then helping to run events and come up with ideas to help Ollie be better. So we're always looking for that.
Thanks. Yeah, so Lorraine, we're always trying to get more volunteers. So what would you tell someone, what does volunteering at Ollie do for them?
Well, I think that, take someone like Barb, who has an amazing set of skills. The website could not have been done in that time period without her. She just knows that she knows how to do a website. So you can have a skill, you can have a lifetime experience, things from your career, and you want to kind of continue to do that in a more kind of sporadic, I can see the beginning and the end of this kind of way. So in that sense, I think there are a lot of volunteers who come because that part of their life is ended, but they still have an interest in it. So they find a way to keep it going. Like teaching a class can be an example to that. But I think the other thing is, which is more kind of maybe what it was for me in a lot of activities, is something new to do, something that follows like a hobby or a passion. So the teaching the independent film class or teaching a short story class, that's just, I'm an enthusiast in those things. I love to read short stories. I love to see independent cinema. So there's a thing where you can volunteer in a way in which you're pursuing something new. I look at this time of our lives as very precious years. You never know when all of a sudden things can change dramatically. And so it's a chance to try new things, to keep things going, and to feel like you still have a passion, a purpose, that you have things to give back. So that's what it is for me.
All right, so we're getting towards the end, and I want to give both of you a chance just to share with our membership anything else that we haven't talked about. So Lorraine, I'll start with you.
Well, I would say to call the Ollie office and make a time to speak with Megan, the volunteer coordinator. She has a good feel for all of the different ways, whether or not it's a one-time event or a longer-term commitment. And I know that, she wants to hear what people think, what they want to do, ideas that they may have, or that they want ideas. So that would be one thing. I'd also say if you haven't been on the New Ollie website, to take a look at it. The homepage is a great place to get started, but I would also suggest the Get Involved tab in the top menu. There's things there to see about teaching and volunteering and donating, and it's a great place to go learn more just on your own free time.
Thank you, Lorraine. So, Barb, anything else you want to share?
Well, along those lines, like Megan is trying to, if you go talk to Megan, she's trying to find a slot. If you're interested in volunteering and you ask her about that, we're not just looking for people to say, oh, I want to do something, and then we just stick them somewhere, like, oh, this is what has to be done, you're going to do it. She's trying to match people up with the needs that Ollie has for volunteer work, specific tasks, with the people who want to do those tasks or have a history of helping with certain things. So we're always trying to match people up with things that they'll be interested in doing. And not everything is interesting. In my life, I have done things that were not interesting because they needed to be done, right? But most of it is matching people up with something that would be interesting to them. And that I think that another important thing is wear your name tag. I still see people in classes and sometimes instructors who are not wearing their name tags. And it's not a rule. You don't have to wear your name tag, but it's a really good way to start learning who these people are. So even if you don't have time to talk to them at the break during the class, or whatever, don't really know them, but you start learning their names and then when you meet them again in another class, you can, or in a volunteer activity, the name tags are important for getting us to know each other. So I can't think of anything. Let me see if I have anything on my list here. I don't think so. Yeah. Oh, well, so I also play viola. So I wrote down that one reason I'm still involved with Ollie, and one thing that you can do with Ollie as far as volunteering, is that it's like playing in an orchestra. So I practice my instrument alone, but I don't find that super rewarding most of the time. I'm a person that likes to play with other musicians. And when you're in an orchestra, you're creating something that you cannot create on your own. It's not possible, right? I cannot play a whole orchestral piece with all the, myself. So that's any organization like Ollie, that you can put yourself into it and you're offering your skills, but the result is like Ollie, right? So Ollie can't do it without it. It is definitely a volunteer-run organization. We have our 3 staff members, and they manage all of the stuff that has to be done through SOU and all the top-level stuff. But the council is volunteer members. Everybody else is volunteer. The curriculum committee that decides what courses are going to be in the catalog and what the instructors are going to be. All of that is volunteer work. And so we need a lot of people to do that stuff.
I love the analogy to the orchestra. So yes, it is a volunteer-driven organization. Some of us are marching, some of us are dancing, and some maybe just enjoying the tune.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much for sharing all your ideas and thoughts. And hopefully this helps more people keep Ollie going. You have a great day.
Thanks.
Thanks, John.